policy to address this. Suicide relates to mortality. It's a major fatal complication. And so when we are talking suicide, we are talking about mortality. Mortality is death or loss of life. So the best we can do is to do what can we do so that we don't get mortality. And this what we need to address with this strategy as a country. I hope now we are there on the document. So let's go to the next slide. So basically, this document has a vision. And the vision is to see that we have a country where we have very few deaths by suicide. And also enhancing people's mental well-being. And when we look at the missions to get to that visions, is to see how we can promote, coordinate, and support intersectoral strategies to address this issue. I said suicide is a complex issue, so it can't be addressed through one dimension. You must have multidimensional approach to a complex issue. Actually, there's so much we don't understand about suicide or suicidal behavior. They are social, they are psychological, they are economic, and many other systemic issues. So the mission of the strategy is to see how we can promote, we can coordinate, and support intersectoral interventions to address this complex issue. So a mission means that that's the journey we want to walk. So it means getting people in the education sector, getting people in the social sector, security sector, food sector, and many other sectors to walk this journey together to address a complex issue. So what ultimately is our goal? We want to reduce deaths by suicide by 10%. Probably you may think we are not very ambitious. We just want 10%. We do a baseline. We see where are we, which we don't have the figures. We have estimated figures by WHO in terms of our country figures. And then over the next, which is only 2 years, we see whether we'll have reduced that by 10%. That's the work set out for all of us. So your mission is to get many people together, coordinate, and get them involved in whatever they can do to aim to reduce suicide death by 10% by 2026. A team sat down, went through this, looked at other documents, and we thought that's the best we can put as a strategy. Because when you're doing a strategy, is aiming at something you want to deal with and see how is the best way. If you pray that, when you are praying that or you are praying pool table, the way you aim and you want to hit that, that's what we want to do. So having said that, we are borrowing these from the global dimension or the global set goals from Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goal number 3 talks about good health and well-being. And under these, there's a target where we are supposed to reduce by 1/3 premature mortality from non-communicable diseases through prevention and treatment and promoting mental well-being. Which some of the mortality from non-communicable diseases, which include mental illness, is through suicide. And we need to reduce those deaths by 1/3. And one of the indicators which, as a country, every other year we write a report when our president is going for this meeting, the UN meeting or the World Health Assembly, is to say where we are as a country, what are we doing and where are we. Because in public health or public mental health, those who are in epidemiology, you talk of numbers, data talks. You don't go to talk things from your stomach, eh? You talk of figures. Is it not so? Eh? You say, I was here, and this is where I am. And this is what I'm doing to get here or to get there. So, a goal has been set by all member states. They have met, they have agreed that we need to reduce deaths by non-communicable diseases, which include mental illnesses and suicide, by 1/3 by 2030. Which by 1/3 means around 33%, is it so? So us as a country by 2026, we looked at this figure and he said, let's not be so ambitious, let's just reduce by 10%. Because even we didn't have a baseline. So one of you can work on this to do for us the baseline as a country. That's a research question, eh? For those who are in research. So we set about 5 objectives, the team which worked on this. And through a lot of stakeholder engagement, as you know, when you work in government, you're producing this document. There's a normal set process on how you set strategies, so, which is also much borrowed from WHO on how to go about doing this. So the first one was that counties and national government should dedicate and have a suicide prevention program. So one of the things we need to score is to go to the national level and ask them, have you set a program? Is it either yes or no when you're doing your indicators? Eh? The same thing, we go to a county and say, do you have a dedicated desk or a personnel or an office to address this issue? We thought that could be the best thing we can do at leadership and governance level, at all levels. The second item we came up with was trying to improve the systems. Because you work within system when you are working at policy and public health systems. So is to have a policy, legal and financing environment for suicide prevention program. Once we have set, every county has someone in charge of these, of this very important agenda. Get some water. You get someone to address this important agenda. Can we support them with a policy like this document, which is a policy document? Can we provide them with finances? So what it would mean if I go to a county B like Makueni, if I go and tick that they have a desk or they have a personnel or an office, the next thing is to see, are they allocating budget for this person? Because you are given an office without money, you not achieve that 10%, is it so? Because we have to be very practical in life. So the next thing is also, there are legal handles, legal mechanisms or legal framework handles. And these we are looking at Penal Code Section 226, which there's an effort to decriminalize suicide, because we know the consequences whenever suicide is criminalized. So the third objective was to improve access to care. Can people access care? Those who are in distress, whether it's crisis intervention, whether it's counseling services. And so there are a number of indicators also to look at that. If I go to Muranga, are people with suicidal behavior or who need help accessing care? So probably we can say, do you have any form of mental health services? Do you have psychologists? Do you have psychiatrists? Do you have social workers? That's the way we would score that county, to see whether we are making any progress, because people must be somewhere they access care. The third was to address issues of awareness and stigma reduction. It's our number 4 objectives. So also there are a number of, if you look at that document, you'll see each one of them has its objective. I hope you are still following with me. We are walking step by step on this document. That's what I decided to do today. And the last one was to have a surveillance and a research system. And I'll come to surveillance. Surveillance has been found to be a very important element when you come to suicide prevention. In health, there are a number of conditions we call notifiable disease conditions or notifiable health issues. If there is a polio case, it's a notifiable issue. Is it so, wherever it happens, because we know what happened. So we are trying to move to a point where we can keep a track on what is happening. Vulnerable people, those at risk, those who need support. We need to have that surveillance system. Few countries have managed to come up with surveillance system in the world. IRAD has a surveillance system, another few countries I may not mention, where they keep data. When you're doing surveillance, you need data because you do surveillance with numbers. So, those are the 4 key things you need to remember. What is the target at the global level? We need supposed to reduce deaths by 1/3. In Kenya, we have set to reduce by 10%. We have set our vision to reduce death by suicide. We have set a mission where we want to bring many people together and coordinate and support and collaborate to achieve that's our mission. So wherever you are, you need to be working around that. And then I've set the 6 objectives. Awareness, stigma reduction, access to service. We have talked of surveillance and research. We have talked of, which is the other one, policy framework, and to have a dedicated office addressing these issues, both at the national and county level. Let's go to the next slide. Now you know the whole, that's all what you need to know about this strategy. If you get that, you have passed your exam. The rest, I will just be talking of other details. So I thought of sharing with you these suicide facts and figures. Probably this one you know, it's borrowed from WHO. Those are the figures. About 700,000 people die by suicide. That is in the 2019 report. About 70% of these deaths were from low and middle income countries. They are like from countries like ours. 77%. So we have a problem. Suicide prevention, suicide is a big problem in our part of the world. So we need to do something. The other one was that when it comes to people between the age of 15 to 29, the 4th leading cause of death in this population is suicide. Because the young people are healthy, they may not be dying from cancer and other things. They may be dying from things like suicide. And about 58% of deaths happen before the age of 50. So again, it tends to affect the younger people. This is a major issue. So the other side is something we normally talk of, key recommended intervention by WHO, what we call Live Life. And basically they say limiting access, interact with the media on responsible reporting, foster life skills of young people, and area identification and support. That's what is called Live Life by WHO. But we twisted this a bit when we came up with our strategy. You see some of these things like reducing access to means, school programs. School programs are very effective, but you know, school programs, normally you aim for 10 to 20 years in terms of the returns. The school programs, you don't aim in the short term. Good, let's go to the next slide. So, if we are to set a program, because once I've told you whatever is in the strategy, the next thing is, if you're working like in the Ministry of Interior, or you're working in the Ministry of Public Service, or you're working with a university, and then you are asked to set up a program at your place of work, which would aim to address the issues of suicide prevention. How do you go about it? This is what we call programming. You know, how would you put your concept, manage to get funding, and be able to show progress as you're working on this? Because most of us here, we're either in universities, or even probably you're working, your church asks you, you are the clinical psychologist or counseling psychologist in your church, and they want to set up something, they want to do something. As you have said, you want to get as many people as possible. How would you advise them to go about it? And you have said, never time you are setting up a community mental health program, you need to understand the risk factors and protective factors. That's very important. In your situational analysis, trying to set what is the problem and analyzing the situation so that you can define what you intend to do, you need to understand the risk. And risk around suicide have been classified around these three key areas. They could be at an individual level, as a person. They could be risk at the level of the community and how people relate within the community. And there could be some risk at the level of a structural level, systemic level. So that's a good way of seeing things. I don't know how many of you have this way of working around with your brain. You first group things big and then you go working to the smaller level. Is it so? See, that's the way we work as human beings. That's the way we help our brains to become very systematic and very organized. So this is a way of look at what are the risks at the individual level, community level, and at the societal level. And there they are. I will not go into the details. At the individual levels, you'll be someone with issues like family history of suicide. They have had previous suicidal attempt. They have substance use. They have a mental illness. They are going through an aspect of feeling of hopelessness. Actually, that one is known to be a major risk factor. A feeling of being hopeless. Whatever is leading you to that. Another one which is a major risk factor of an individual is an individual going through pain. Any form of pain. If you're going through a form of pain, whether it's psychological or physical, and you have a feeling of hopelessness, it's a major risk factor to suicide. Whether you have even diagnosable mental illness. That mere of going through that. And then now we talk at community level, there are people going through wars, there's a lot of discrimination, relationship issues. The issues we address at a community and at a family level. Then at a societal level is you can't access care. When I talk about access of care, that's a government business, is it so? To ensure that there's somewhere where you can get care. Because it could be a problem as an individual, there could be a problem in the society, but there's nowhere you can go for to seek for help. So that's become a risk. Then the other side, there are protective issues, and very key is, I mentioned some about the issues of strong personal relationship and social connectedness. So if family and community, there's that element of the social capital. It's an important protective factor within our community. Then the issues around life skills, lifestyles, coping mechanisms, which gets people to have resilience. And this, you look at it at individual levels when you're doing school programs. Probably that's what you'll be focusing on when you're doing school programs. You want to have resilient people who are able to cope with issues. Self-esteem and sense of purpose, they're said to be high protective factors in life. As you had hopelessness, you heard me say the other side, hopelessness is a major risk factors. And pain. You know, this pain which is, you feel like probably there is no solution to it. effective mental health care has been shown to be a good protective factor. That people can freely seek for care, they can go for counseling, they have social support system. Very interesting, cultural, religious, and spiritual belief that discourage suicide can be a protection. So you have in a society or a community which is very religious and is bringing that aspect of spirituality, is bringing the aspect about purpose in life. The people are feeling social connected. It's a protective factor. So you can see here we are getting some kind of protection from our socio-cultural and religious perspective in our life. So when you're doing your program, don't just think I'm a psychiatrist, I'm a scientist, and I'm like pushing this agenda. Could be probably you need to push even a socio-cultural and religious perception within your community to bring some protection. So this is about how you go about it if you are asked by your clergy to help them come up with this. You tell them there's something you also have to do. Let's go to the next one. What's happening with my PowerPoint? Good, there we are. So you have done your situational analysis and you are aligning to the national program in terms of the strategy, and here now you want to do the intervention. Wherever you are working, whether it's within your church, within your school, within a college like this, at whatever level. So now it's to do the intervention. So what are the interventions you need to put in place? We normally look at intervention at 3 levels. Just see the way I do things. I classify things in big, then I break them down into small pieces. That's usually an easier way to deal. So you look at what are interventions which will be universal. Universal interventions will apply to everyone. Whether they have risk, everyone, we assume like everyone requires some intervention. So that will be a universal intervention. Then you'll have what we call selective intervention. These are interventions you'll get some key people who you may think are vulnerable, may be at risk, or they are more affected by this problem. So probably if you are working within your community, you could say everyone will get some messages around suicide prevention, their mental well-being. Okay, fine. I'll finish in 10 minutes, don't worry. Everyone will get some intervention. But then you may think, because I can't, so you may decide the entire community, the intervention is giving them messages. You could decide probably you'll be sending their messages on their phone, on their how to can keep their mental well-being, where they can access care, and all that. But then you think there's another group which I will need to have a focused intervention. Probably you decide I'll go for secondary school. So you go for secondary schools, and probably you say secondary school, my focus will be addressing issues of substance, could be the major risk I'm seeing in this area, and life skills. And so within that selective community or group of people cohort, you go for that intervention, and that's the intervention you do. Then as you're doing your selective intervention and universal intervention, there are people you'll be able to come across who'll be telling you even I have suicidal ideation. So those are the people now you'll go for educated intervention. You need to link them to a counselor, you need to link them to a hospital, you need to have them on follow-up support and care. So that's the way you do your intervention. So basically, that's the way the way the programming happens: surveillance, identify risk and protective factors, develop interventions, then implement them, evaluate, and the cycle continues. Good. Next slide. I finished. Less than 10 minutes. Those are my references. That's our policy. The policy is such a big document. We just give key directives. There are 11 policy directives in our documents. you have never known. And they are usually 4 objectives. But there are very little details in this document. But I would expect you to know the 11 policy directives, which guides Kenya mental health in Kenya. That's the document we have talked. That's what we were told by the Kenyans when we did the task force report. You can also, and they said these things. They want something to address prevention of strategy. And so that's why you came up with this document and the other document. So thank you for listening to me. I hope I've been able to send the message to you that we have a document with the vision, with the mission, with the goal, and the objective. And there's a way you can go about setting a program as aligned to this document. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us give Dr. Njuguna a round of applause. So we're going to invite a few questions. We can start online. Anyone online? Clement Cheriot, go ahead. Sorry, we are having some technical issues. Clement, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, I think Dr. is the right one to respond to this question on budgetary allocations to mental health services. Since 2020, the recommendation from the mental health task force was that they would increase the budgetary allocation to mental health services.
Thank you. We can have, so there was also the other question that was online about the suicide rate per capita. Did you see that question? Just scroll. Yes. How does the suicide rate per capita in Kenya compare to the rest of the world or the rest of Africa? So that's the second question. We can invite now from the live audience. Yes, I see someone already with their microphone. This side, we can start this side. And then 1 and 2, that side.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah, once again, I'm Gibore Cecilia. My question, maybe not really directed to this because I had it from the morning from yesterday. Now let me ask it now. As practitioners, we need to protect our clients in terms of their privacy. And looking at the issue that we've been discussing about schools counselors, having guidance and counseling in schools, primaries, and I never heard somebody talk about TVET institutions, coming from a TVET institution who are having a concern. So my concern is, what is the board of counselor and psychologists doing to ensure that we are having professional counselors and psychologists in schools, TVET institutions, and other organizations so that we can support people, as we say that without mental health, there's no health. Another concern I had, maybe because I'm also from a TVET institution, I realized that currently we are implementing a new curriculum called CBET CDAC, a new body of examination. And from the curriculum implementation, I realized maybe some of us, the psychologists, the professionals who were involved, and I realized that in counseling psychology as a course, we are missing research as a unit, which was there previously. So how can we ensure that we are having that unit in component so that we can have psychologists doing research in issues of mental health. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We had two from this side. Yes, go ahead.
So this is where the camera was, the people who are online will see. The first one was on the budget allocation. And so when we went around this country in 2019 with the task force on mental health, and we engaged some few people to do a bit of calculation, we realized that what we found, data is usually a bit difficult to get in Kenya, but the rough estimate we got was probably we were having about 25 cents per capita allocated to mental health. That's looking even in human resource and all these other things. And from projection, what need to be done, these are projections done by the economist. They do their own calculation. I don't do it myself. I'm not an expert in that area. We asked them to do for us. They were proposing, in an ideal situation, the median level expenditure to address the issues of mental health need in this country would require 250 shillings per capita. So you can, that's per annum. So you mean we are moving from 25 cents to 250. This is the money now, if you convert with around estimation around 50 million Kenya, that's the kind of money which will be required. We further went and did a mental health investment case in Kenya where we looked at around treating 6 key mental conditions and doing 2 public health intervention. And the public health intervention was a school mental health program and a pesticide ban to reduce suicide. And we looked at what would cost the country in 10 years and in 20 years. Again, we involve health economists to do these calculations. And they were saying there will be a return around 2.1. That every shillings you invest in mental health, you get 2 shillings in return. So the whole reason why we do this kind of business is try when you go to treasury and you're talking with finance people, instead of telling them that depression is a big problem in Kenya, you also talk their language and tell them, I've seen what economic burden depression brings, and I've seen this is the kind of amount of money you may need to put in place, and this is what you'll get in return. And then you can make them happy and see whether they can give you money. That's advocacy, working with the language they understand about money. Okay, so where are we? Sometimes I work with Mathare. I've worked in the Ministry of Health, and I can tell you some of the gymnastics I used to do when I'm asked to do these big reports. Sometimes when you have difficult to get data coming around, sometimes I would work with data from Mathare Hospital, and I would generalize my reports. Because I would assume probably they're most a sample representative of this country. Whether it's in terms of people who are doing epidemiology that can be found to be sound statistically, but you do work around with that. And you'd look at how many people whom are seeing in Mathare, and probably you get other few reports from few psychiatric units. So if I look at where we are in terms of budgeting in Mathare, about some few years ago, 2018, Mathare would get around 114 million Kenya shillings per annum in their budget allocation. Currently, Mathare is getting a budget allocation of 1 billion. So you can see we have gone how many times? We have increased by around 1.4 and 1 million. Your calculation is around 8. Is it so? So actually, currently, this year there are a lot of austerity measures. Mheshimiwa knows this. You get the money and then it's cut along within the year. You must be, those who have worked with government, you must know, you must be very strategic in how you spend your money. There's what we call utilization capacity. You must utilize your money very fast. So we are making some movement, but we are not there. a group of people called an NGO, I'm forgetting their name, I'm having a thought block. I know them. We did some work some time back. They looked at budgetary allocation around the country and they came up with a report. And we saw that, like that time, that was 2018, there was no single county which had a dedicated budget for mental health in 2018. Some recent check-up around the country, we found there are about 12 counties now having some form of budget towards mental health. So you can see, if you look at those as indicators, there's some movement we are making, but we are not yet there. Suicide rate per capita. From the report 2019, the last global report on suicide was 2019 by WHO. And they normally give the crude suicide rates, or crude suicide mortality rates for different countries by working around gymnastics with numbers. Not that they do any survey when you don't have data. For Kenya, it was 6.1 per 100,000 of our population. 6.1, or 6 because there is no 0.1 human being, per 100,000 of the population. So if you do some mathematics, that translates to around 4 to 5 deaths by suicide every day in Kenya. So if we use this as our baseline, then we want to reduce that by 10%. That's what we intend to work with. There was the issue about the Cancer and Psychologist Board. I will not answer that. I know Matilda was here in the morning. But what I can say, there is a step that in 2022 we gazetted the board. They are currently having an office. They're having a budget. They're also raising a bit of revenue. They are registering people. And they are making progress. That's what I can say. There was a one on curriculum and research. Probably the board will be dealing with that because they also be setting standard. I think those are the few questions. But research is very important.
Thank you, Doc. We had 2 more this side.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lydia Baria. First and foremost, I wish to congratulate the organizers of this forum. It's quite enriching and resourceful. Just a concern, mine it's not a question, it's a concern that persons with a disability, this is a group of people that feel a bit left behind, and as practitioners, I would really encourage you to also invest in us, because we go through a lot as persons with a disability. So please, even as you do your work, kindly let's have more practitioners with the sign language skills so that they can be able to assist our fellow brothers and sisters who have hearing impairment. Because, like, you know, if a client comes and the person maybe cannot be able to communicate directly, and somebody is trying to, like, to tell you at anasikia, you can't interpret my feelings, my emotions. But if only I can get somebody who can really understand me, that I can talk directly and somebody responds, I'll feel understood. So even for the researchers, please, that's also an area that needs to, we need people to work on that area, because we also have so many people with a disability who commit suicide just because they don't have somebody to listen, or somebody just telling them that we care. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. The last one here.
Sorry about that. My name is Maggie. Do I need to stand? I'm so sorry. Nikama lunch imeni. Hello, everyone. My name is Maggie Gitu. I'm a marriage, family, and sex therapist here in Nairobi. Daktari, I didn't want to get your name wrong. Dr. Njuguna, thank you so much. Because I appreciate your way of organizing information, because now we have so much information, and I was thinking, how do we set up a program? The way you've organized it step by step, super helpful, thank you. And also thank you for maintaining the reference, death by suicide, and not committing suicide. We don't commit suicide because we're not committing a crime, even if in our country it's considered a crime. Why I'm saying that is because we are talking about stigmatizing language, and then we are stigmatizing ourselves and our clients, isn't it? Also, when we are seeking funding and we tell, especially foreign funders, about committing suicide, wanaona pesa yao itakunywa maji. Now, Daktari, I wanted to ask, in this program setup guidelines that you've shared, are we required to liaise with the government, or how will you know whether the programs have impact? What will you be measuring? Or either do we have to, or can we liaise with the government? So let's say in my community, I'm going to a high school, and I've followed these guidelines, protective factors, interventions, etc. Do I do a report and bring it, just so that we atuzunguki the kitchen sink, we can now start consolidating information? And then finally, you said there are 11 policy directives in that document, and you said, I expect you to know those 11. Sasa, Daktari, hizo 11 zimenipita. So kindly direct me to page. I will go to the page myself and study them, but help a sister out on that front. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Online, we had a question that is related to what she has asked in regard to the measuring of outcomes in terms of this strategy. How far are we in terms of the implementation and the measuring of outcomes? Then finally, we had Josephine Wanjiku. Josephine Wanjiku online, please unmute and speak. Josephine, can you hear us? Please go ahead and speak. Thank you, Josephine. We'll have the last questions to Daktari.
So thank you for those very good questions. There's a question on disability inclusivity. I think has been put very clear. It's a call on all of us that we need to ensure disability inclusivity. And true, we must live, we must commit ourselves to live that we have inclusivity for persons with disability, like has been mentioned. And let me tell you, it needs to start with us. Where I work in hospital, I work at Mathare National Teaching and Referral Hospital. these are some of the gaps we have, and we are looking forward in addressing, someone with sign language, because we do get people with different, needs, and they need our service. So we actually need that. I don't know, you need to be looked at even in the education sector. We need psychologists to a person with disability. They can be able to do counseling using sign language. I don't know how you can go and do counseling with sign language. We need to get that because we need to serve the people. So we need the people with the technical expertise within themselves, and then they can provide the service. So if we are not having expert or person with disability to be able to support the others, so that's an area of need, and we need to do more. Yeah, thank you for appreciating my method of getting things in bulk and then breaking them into pieces. So, yeah, you said then when you do all this programming, then how do we measure? That's an area we are moving into in terms of monitoring and evaluation and learning process. And at the ministry level right now, the person who have succeeded me, I think that's one of the major tasks. We have put this policy document, and by the time I left, I said we need even first to implement those ones we have come up with, and then we should be able to measure, are we getting results? We are trying even to come up with platforms to do that. Recently, we have had a lot of support from the CDC, because the HIV program have really realized how much get to their targets. Those 0 deaths, 0 infections, and all that. So they are working with us very closely, and now they normally have money. So they are helping us set this, because monitoring and evaluation like they have been doing for HIV program is it's a very capital intensive process. So we are at the initial stages of setting the framework, getting even online dashboard. There's a dashboard we came up with. So don't worry, you'll be getting a platform where you can get your data in real time, and you are seeing it, and you are seeing what you are doing, and then we are able to do a calculation by the end of the year, and I can go to my boss and say, this is what I've been able to do, because without figures you have done nothing. Data speaks. So we are there. We are working on platforms around that, even online platform. Already we were supported by one of the, but this is combined with NCD. We already have one tool, one dashboard, NCD mental health. We also make it popular so that people can know. In somewhere you open an account and you can feed your information there, and from our end we can start getting this information on that there's a person in Migori, this is what they are doing, this is their data, and then we can put together the data the whole country, and every year where the board should be giving, the Kenya Board of Mental Health should be giving an annual report. Say, this year, this is where we are, and then they use that report to advise the cabinet secretary. These are the strategies we need to do. Let me come to the policy. I said 11 strategies. The Kenya Mental Health Policy is a blue document. I don't know whether you can put the slides up. Someone can see which document is that. It's not the suicide prevention strategy. That's the mother document. So there are two mother documents when it comes to mental health in this country: the Mental Health Act and Kenya Mental Health Policy. Those are the two mother documents. Then those two mother documents have the children's. They are born some kids from different areas. So some on suicide, some on alcohol, some on different areas. So we move from the two key documents, and then we are breaking down, moving. You haven't seen the slide? You are a DJ at the computer. You should be able to. So what I mean is there are 11. I don't know whether this will be an overload of information for you, or I can mention them. I hope I also remember everything. Also my memory can. So there are 11. The first 6, they are within what we call the health system pillars. There are usually 6 health system pillars. The first one is leadership and governance. So we have a statement saying what do we want in leadership and governance in this country, in our policy. The second one is on human resource. You say what you want about human resource in mental health. The third one is on financing, the mental health care financing in this country. The fourth one is on the issue of mental health information system. The fifth one is usually service delivery. Those are the key pillars of health. The sixth one is usually what we call HPT, health products and technologies. And in Kenya, we normally add the seventh one we call infrastructure, although it's not a pillar with WHO. So those are 7, So have I gotten the other 4? So what happened when we were meeting to come up with the Kenya mental health policy, these are processes which started back even the year 2003 and we finished it in 2014. Mental health, even if it's a health issue, it's more than a health issue. Is it so? Have you ever realized it's more than a health issue? So we added other 4 directives. And the other directive was on the issues of mental health and substance use. That was number 8. We added another one on mental health and social population or vulnerable population. That was the 9th one. We added the 10th one, which was mental health and socio-cultural perspective. And I've forgotten the 11th one. Go and do your research on the 11th one. I've gotten 10 out of 11. That's a good pass mark. Is there any question I have not answered?
I think you have done well.
Those are the ones. And the group which did a study on budget allocation in this country, if you know that NGO, is called HERAF. It has come back on my mind. HERAF. You know HERAF. They're the ones who did that study, and there is a report. If you Google, you'll see that report.
Let us give Dr. Njuguna a round of applause. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the presentations for this afternoon. I want to welcome Faith to take over from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Tom, Dr. Tom. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tom, and Dr. Njuguna. Are we learning? You know, yesterday in our opening remarks, we talked about the suicide prevention strategy, right? There was something about persons with disability. I was in a forum last week and they said, don't call us persons living with disability because living is there and person is here. So they said person with disability. And I'm holding a certificate here, and it is a certificate by the Kenya Institute of Special Education, that is Kcpa, and it is on Kenyan Sign Language. So our colleague Vespers from Kilifi has gone through this course, and he's able to do exactly what our friend here from Kajiado County is doing. So I will challenge us to go forward and do this. This is another, this is an already acknowledged language in Kenya. Tuko pamoja? It's an official language in Kenya. So let us do this. Then I also want to challenge us where we are doing digitization of our interventions. As long as you're doing digitization, always think about someone who will not hear you or someone who will not see what you're doing. And ask yourself, how do I get this message to this person? We are together? Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to go to our next session. But before that, we have 2 things that we need to do. And I want to invite our CEO for just a minute to come. And I understand there is a guest who needs to leave. And we don't want to inconvenience ourselves in any way. So kindly.
Clap for our CEO. Si amefanya kazi mzuri tangu jana. Hey, my brother.
Good afternoon once again. Are you still there? And are you happy that you came? I'm also happy that you are here with us. I'm so delighted this afternoon. And the reason why we have interrupted the flow of the program is because there is a guest that we need to honor. I understand she has just come in, and I understand she needs to catch a flight. And therefore we need to do what needs to be done, or the reason why we invited her here. And this is our very own Dr. Anne Wambogo. Dr. Anne Wambogo has taught so many people in the field of counseling. When I look around, I can see people who sat under her voice, including myself. And we want to honor her as a Kcpa because of her being an outstanding lecturer and practitioner in the counseling and psychology field. And she has contributed immensely to the birth of postgraduate marriage and family curricula at Park University, and produced accomplished marriage and family therapists like myself for our beloved country and beyond. Isn't that wonderful? And because we want to let her go, she had excused herself, she would have wanted to be with us. I want to request, I think, Professor, you can guide us which award belongs to Dr. Anne. We want to request Honorable Wamunyinyi to kindly, because this is the man who, again, in Parliament was able to really push through the act that was able to give us the Counselors and Psychologists Board to present this certificate as well as a medal to Dr. Anne Wambogo. Daktari, kindly, I request you to make your way to the stage so that we can have Honorable Wamunyinyi present this gift. And then after she receives the gift, she's going to say a word, and then we are going to let her go. Is that okay? Sindio? Asante sana. So, Dr. Anne, you deserve a medal. Thank you so much. Yes.
This is the medal.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anne. Asante sana, Honorable Wamunyinyi. Dr. Anne, you can say a word.
Good afternoon. I actually didn't know that I can say a word, but I can say one word or so. I was deeply surprised when I was told that I have been chosen to come and I get an award. Then I wrote a message to Professor Gashoda, and I said, "Are you talking about me?" Because I did not expect this. You know, when you do the work, you do the work. And you don't know that someone will ever call you for a mentor like this. Because I was just doing what I know best to do. And she said yes. And she said, "You deserve it." I have been surprised up to now. because I was just doing the work. But come to think, if anyone has to say thank you to someone, do it when they can be able to respond the way I'm responding. Because when we put all these accolades about a person, what they did, when they have slept, no one will strengthen them. But I think this has strengthened me and given me more energy to do what I know best to do in this breath of life. Perhaps continue to be a very faithful member of Kcpa. And I know the association has benefited from what I do because I have always recommended my students. And I have written many times, I write about 12 students, please register them, because I know the benefit of one being in an association like this one that is authentic. And I began counseling little bit early in 1998 during the bomb blast. With a few people who have gone to heaven and others are still doing it. But when there is regulation of this great work, I say, I want to continue to do it. And I say, let us do it together. Perhaps this country needs healers. A time like this one, we are very much needed. And I want to appreciate this association for taking one of my own, the CEO, Mushauri. I am trying to get that name that you use. Moffat Kago. Do you like him? You know. I know him when you didn't know him. And he worked to be made. And another one who presented yesterday on suicide, Dr. Marion Mutweri. We need to heal families. And I'm so grateful that you could consider me. And I think I'll be thinking about you and this association and other associations I'm in so that we can do what we know best to do. Thank you also for allowing me to come because I have another assignment somewhere and I need to take off and go to the airport. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daktari. I just realized that the color of that medal matches very well with your dress. Am I colorblind? Asante.
Now finally a man has spoken. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it gets down when you're getting old and you have impacted and you've done a lot in the society. I love what she said, give me my flowers when I can still smell them. Right? I want to invite our sister and one of our board members, Madam Coco. I know she has some gifts. We want to give gifts. And with this, I invite Grace from Kcpa, KPS. Is she still there? Grace, she made a presentation from National Police Service. Thank you. Jacqueline, I loved your story, and you're a wonderful storyteller. Dr. Njuguna. Isaac Kamau, are you around? Isaac Kamau, our birthday boy is around. So prepare to sing a birthday song. Then Valentine Wairimu. Valentine? Karibu, please come to this side. we want to share gifts. And as the gifts are being shared, I also want to invite our chair of RIPAC to come and support with the, giving the gifts. Madam Jins. Adam Jinsela and Madam Ngene, please come and share the gifts with our great guests. They've given quite a lot in this process. I will request that we don't have any speeches because of time, and as they give the gifts, and as that happens, our next speakers, I want to confirm who are in the house. Dr. Stephen Asatsa. Dr. Stephen Asatsa, are you in the house? Please raise your hand. Stephen Asatsa? Okay, he's not there. Dr. Collins Asweto? Aha, karibu sana. Faith Mweni Musioka? Awesome. Peter N. Kailemia? Peter Kailemia? Not in the house. Kirema Nkanata Mborogo. Mborogo? Okay, not in the house. Jane Karimi? Is Jane Karimi there? Okay. Douglas Otieno? Douglas Otieno? Okay, not there. Arthur Onyango? Arthur Onyango is there. And Ian Igado. Ian Igado? I'm told that there is a lady called Mercy. She also shared her lived experience yesterday. Mercy? Is Mercy in the house? Okay. Ian Igado, are you in the house? Okay, so I seem to be having 3 for my afternoon panel, and this saves us time. Where is Daktari? Dr. Tom Onyango, my good friend. Yes. Now that we are having 3 people, may I request please come. We'll just have 3 seats. No, 4 seats. 4. But I need. So that we can have this discussion, please. We are going to be a little bit selfish so that we can have them sit on that side and we can have this discussion from this side. Members of my panel who I called, please step on stage. As Daktari, I hand over the mic to you.
Good afternoon. I think we've done so much that what we are about to do is like a summary of what we've done. It's been whispered to me that we try to do our best. We are going to do our best, being the last bit of the proceedings. Now, as you've already been made aware, we have Dr. Collins Asweto just next to me here. We have Dr. Mueni next, the only lady in the group. Then we have my namesake, Mr. Onyango. Now, beginning with Mueni, of course, you know what's there on the program. I would like to find out, Daktari, who stigmatizes and who is stigmatized? Before we get to find out how do we help. Now, who is this that is stigmatized as a result of suicidal ideations, and who does this? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. Should I go direct to the question? Okay. Yeah, for those who are stigmatized, we are, because as we were told yesterday that we can be affected and we can also be infected. So I can say we are all stigmatized. Thank you.
Now, if all of us are stigmatized, Daktari, who stigmatizes? All of us are we stigmatizing ourselves? If all of us are stigmatized, thank you.
Actually, yes.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Now, Dr. Asweto. Asweto.
Yes, Dr. Asweto.
Please allow me to get it right.
Yeah.
Fine. I know why Dr. Mwini wanted to say something. You know, at times, ulimi inakuwa telezi. Badala ya kusema Onyango, I might say Anyango. Sorry for that, though. Daktari, who needs help? Of course, we've been told that all of us are stigmatized, and all of us stigmatized. Now, who needs help? Okay, who needs help when it comes to suicidal tendencies?
I think those who need help when it comes to suicidal tendency are those who are undergoing mental health problems that will drive them towards those the suicidal ideation. And the help they need is the support system that we make within the society and in our family. That is key to ensure that we are able to detect them within ourselves and be able to act appropriately with measures that are important to help them actually going through or prevent the ideation of suicide.
Thank you, Daktari. Maybe you can pass it over to my namesake, Mr. Onyango, and then maybe Mr. Onyango can help us with the issue of fine. The people who are undergoing suicidal ideation need help. All of us are stigmatized. All of us stigmatized. Now, Bando Onyango, in your thinking, who can help these people who are having suicidal ideations? Where do you get them from? And yeah.
So, just to think about it from far, you asked an important question, who is stigmatized, and the best answer was given all. So looking at it, you look at it from a programmatic perspective from three angles, that is basically promotion. We need to promote a space where everyone feels free to express before they get to a point of promote healthy mindsets where people are able to express themselves, get help before they get to that point. So that can be done by community members, family members, opening up spaces. Then there are people who already have conditions that now need urgent response, and that will need very specialized population, very specialized professionals, that is psychologists, to be able to support. And then there are people who have reached a point that now they may need medication, so that they may need psychiatrists, but essentially, primarily, the community should be at a position to help by having the right information provided to them.
Thank you, Banonyango. So we are getting an idea of the severity, giving us the people who can be able to help. And hopefully, as we talk about prevention, we are going to look at a situation where you don't get it to be too severe, because, of course, when it comes to experts, it may be very expensive. It may also be very costly to find them because there are not very many. Now, Dr. Asweto.
Asweto.
Asweto. Yes. Fine. How best can communities help in preventing suicidal tendencies? He's talked about the community. In your thinking, how best can the community come in?
I think one of the best way that community can come in, and actually has been used in other sectors like mental health and child health within the community, is one is through the community health promoters that will support especially if you are providing at the primary health care level, that they support the suicidal prevention. One is, the other thing is also being support. They support in a way that they are able to do screening and detect early cases and make referral as required, so that they get urgent support as required at the community level. And then all these also go and learn if there's a way in which we come up at maybe at the national level, and to see that we are able to support some of these community intervention in order to ensure that they are efficient and they run effectively to address the issue of to address the issue of suicidal prevention.
Thank you, thank you. It looks like you want Dr. Mweni to say something. I'll also ask her something. Dr. Mweni, according to you, of course, everybody stigmatizes, everybody is stigmatized. Now, what about precautions on suicide? What precautions can we take on suicide, and how can we implement them?
Yeah, the precautions, we have the precautions, we have how we can prevent them. Maybe they can go together. We have open communication. There's a need to do an open communication, especially in the families. There's also being judgmental. Actually, myself, I've learned a lot from yesterday's talks, whereby we are not supposed to be judgmental. And especially for us who are in a profession in teaching, higher education institutions, sometimes, yes, we teach, but we find some students looks like they are in their own world. So as lecturers, we tend to see as if they are arrogant, they are proud, but from what we learned and what actually we have learned yesterday and today, I can say we need not to be judgmental. We embrace them. Yeah. Judgmental, not being judgmental, open communication, and still creating awareness to everyone, because I've said we are all affected, and if we are not affected, we are infected. And with that, there's a need for mental health awareness to everyone. On my side, I can say I'm not a practitioner, an IT expert, and we have digital tools that are existing. Those digital tools, we can make use of them to create awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. I think from what you said, we are going to get possibly 3 areas that you are going to look at. The 3 of us, you've talked about the affected. You've talked about not being judgmental. Now, I think I'll want to pick on on these, the affected, and ask now, Bwana Onyango, how do we take care of those around these our clients who might be suicidal, now that we may look at them as the affected? Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder that when a person in the family has a mental health condition, the entire family becomes unwell, just to begin with. So one of the areas that generally in the movement to support persons with disabilities is supporting their caregivers. So their caregivers need support groups so that they're able to express the challenges that they experience. Number two is also checking on their own well-being. Are they able to express how they're feeling about one of their family members being in a state where they're feeling suicidal? So it's critical that they have a community, families of persons with mental health conditions, and even people who are feeling suicidal have a community. And even people who feel suicidal should also have a community in extension to supporting their family, so that they are able to live with this feeling, and also probably survive this feeling and get over it, so that the family find less burden in carrying the weight. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe you can get back to Daktari next to me. Let me not pronounce the name. Allow me. Collins.
Yes.
From what you have said, what happens when you identify one with suicidal ideation? Remember, we are told not to be judgmental. Yeah. And we remember what you are told earlier in the morning, how whenever people are identified, people try to keep off. So what should we do?
Actually, as we have said, and I think it has been discussed more with the earlier presenters, once we identify them, we need to create a support network around this particular person to help that person understand and go through, because this is a journey that is walking into, and we need to mean well to them. And the support mechanism, the first line of support mechanism comes from the family, and then the other is come from the society or the community around that particular person. Similarly to what the story that was shared here with the lady from Dedan Kimathi, that whatever she was going through, she was able to make it through because she got support from the family, and she got the support from the she got the support from the employer, yeah, which is key. And so long as we create a safe net for these particular people, and then you'll find that we'll be able to make them go through it and be able to overcome that.
Thank you. There is intense pressure. I think there must be something that is about to happen, but you're also just winding up, don't worry. We need to look at who needs awareness about suicide. Daktari Mweni.
I don't know whether I'm going to repeat the same answer. Those who need
awareness on suicide.
Of suicide. I can say, I don't want now to repeat all of us, but basically is everyone who has the mental health issue is supposed to know, because you find some, yes, they have the suicidal thoughts, they have depression, but they don't know. It's good that create awareness to them. The parents, they also need to know about the mental health care, that is awareness. And yeah, even the employers, that is one case that we have had from Karatina. Maybe from even University of Embu, we might also be having some other cases similar to that. So creating awareness should be even in institutions and organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Because we have Honorable in the room, I'll ask the last question, pose the last question to Bwana Onyango. Bwana Onyango, what is the role of the family in preventing suicide?
I think the family is the cornerstone of preventing suicide. I like the story that the chairperson gave, because that support was necessary for the son to survive probably the situation. The family is the cornerstone in the instance that, one, they're the people that a person will communicate to when they're feeling suicidal. For instance, let's say somebody saying, will heaven also be troublesome like the earth? That is an indication that somebody is thinking of going to heaven. Or how do dead people feel? So there are these subtle conversations that people have with you, and you think you're just having a normal conversation at over lunch or over tea in the morning. So these small conversations, and the family will be the first people to know. And the family is the place they want to say goodbye first, probably. And maybe close friends. So the families should be able to watch out to conversations of each other, be able to notice behavior change of their members, and also be able to provide support. For instance, somebody is no longer eating, enjoying what they're doing. So you are the person, let me consider you the family, you are the person who can take the first action to recommend support or provide help.
Thank you, Mr. Nyang. Thank you, Dr. Mweni. Thank you, Dr. Yes, it's okay.
I was just, I think one of the important things, like other health conditions, especially in NCDs, in the mental health, we also need to look at the screening as part of the prevention effort. If we can have screen, because basically you find that it's easier in mental health. We have a lot of questionnaires that will help us screen for some of these conditions, and if we can have screening services provided in addressing especially the suicide issue, identify people with suicide ideation, that will really help much in the part of prevention of the mental health. And if that can be agitated for, and then with the support of the Kcpa members, then you find that we are able to identify more people that are within that, and they don't know about themselves at early stage, and be able to manage those particular conditions at early stage.
Thank you, Dr. You can realize, people, that when I was going over certain questions in different fashions, I was just trying a situation where we could have, if you're nailing, some two blocks to be together, you nail until the nail is flat on the upper block. That is what I wanted Dr. Mweni to do, and she's done it very well. You do realize that when some people came here, they were giving us their members of the family. Dr. Mweni, I think you've done very well to say where you belong. I also belong there. So we also have lecturers here, and I'm there. I did mention something. I don't want to be taken to court by Mheshimiwa that, you mentioned my name and you didn't come out clearly why. In most cases, when Mheshimiwa wameenda nje huko, atasema ya mwisho kabisa, nikimalizia. So we are very grateful. I want to believe that we've picked one or two items from here. Madam Nashipai, HSC, you can guide us in the next level.
Thank you very much, Tom. Si mwapigie makofi, mbona mnawanyima makofi yao? Just to confirm that this is a team from TINADA, and they're the ones who are having that discussion from MKU, and I think there's a county there, University of Embu. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing very well. And I'd like us to stand up. We've been seated the whole afternoon. Tulikula tukakuja kama tumekimbia. We had a girimidhi. They say girimidhi somewhere. We had an agreement of coming here after 45 minutes. So thank you so much for keeping your part of the agreement. I want us to sing a song. Someone yesterday stood here and said, tomorrow is my birthday. And I told you I'm a men and boys ambassador. So anything for the boy. You see now how things happen. So I want to invite Simon to come here. Tutakuimbia tu wimbo. Hakuna speech, tunakuimbia tu wimbo. Mnataka kuimba gani? Happy birthday, ama gani? Which tune?
Isaac.
Oh, you're Isaac?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry I called you Simon. Forgive me. Sasa tupige makofi. Nani choir master? Nani choir master? Yes, we have a choir mistress here.
Happy birthday, dear Sir Isaac. Happy birthday, dear Isaac. Happy birthday, dear Isaac. Happy birthday, dear Isaac. May you have many, many more. May you have many, many more. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear.
Yay! Thank you. May you have many, many more. Celebrate as many as you can and as long as God gives you breath, because tunapenda ugali na hatuiachi. Githeri tunakula, si ndio? Asante. Ladies, we are right into close to the last session, but I want us to pick something because I noticed in our program there's just one thing that we missed. I know we've had discussions from yesterday, we have had recommendations from yesterday, but I want to pick, and you notice I only pick 3 hands. So 3 hands of the people who feel that we have something we need to take up from here and present it to the ministry, because Pat, I can see her hand is already up. Yes, his hand is Kwanza youth. GNZ ndo hawa. Yes, I have seen another hand. Tumemaliza hiyo story. I just want them to give us, what are we taking or what are we moving forward? Prof, next year when we come for the next conference, whatever these people will say, we want to have a follow-up of this. We want to hear how far we've moved from there to the next level. Because many times we come for conferences and then we do very good reports and we go away. But I'm not that kind. Every time I've held a conference, there has been something that I have moved from one level to another, because I'm a project manager. So there has to be something, there has to be a deliverable, and there has to be sustainability. And therefore, for us in this forum, I would like us to hear from these wonderful people. What is it that we have not said that you feel if we miss it here, we might be having the same discussions next year or in the next 10 years? Please stand up. Kama umeinua mkono yako na nime-identify mkono yako, tafadhali simama. And as we do that, I want us to acknowledge government in the house. The chair of CP board is in the house. Let's put our hands together. Actually, let's stand up and appreciate our government here. Dr. Gidhua. Simameni jameni, tumpigie makofi. Dr. Gidhua is in the house. Karibu sana. This is the chairman of the counselors and psychologists board. Amekuja wakati mzuri ya kurostiwa, si ndio? The right time to roast him. And because amekuja saa hii, hapa si mahali mgeni anapeangwa nini? Chakula ndivyo arudi apewe maji, alafu ulizwe swali. Anaulizwa swali hapa. Anyway, karibu sana daktari. Please have your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. Onliners, kuna mtu mmoja akona recommendation. The first hand to go up is what we are going to pick. Please watch that for me. Dr. Oscar Gidhua, you're most welcome, and we are honored to have you. Thank you for being here. We've had a lot of questions, sir. And some of the questions we've had, and when you get an opportunity, we'd maybe want to hear from you, is the issue of us as professionals. At the county level, when a counselor psychologist is applying for a job, they're not given jobs. But a clinical psychologist is given a job. How then do we work? Because most of these people here are counselors, psychologists. So, and our universities and other institutions of learning are still churning out a lot of workers, skilled workers, in the counseling profession. But when now we just put it as clinicians only, we cancel out thousands of Kenyans from this. How do we do this? The next thing I would want maybe to push, and I wish Dr. Njuguna was here, Bado, is the issue of the community health practitioners. We have taken our community health practitioners and loaded them with everything. Polio, CHP. HIV, CHP. Everything else, whatever people think inaitwaje COVID comes, CHP. Mpox now, mental health, CHP. Why can't the country, the mental health directorate, or the non-communicable directorate, give us mental health community practitioners? Nipigieni makofi. And when we have this, we want to have our diploma holders offering those services at their own community. I am concerned about our own professionals being able to put food on the table. Very skilled people, well qualified. But CHPs are being given what they should be doing, and they can do very well. So kindly hand that. Prof, that is something we need to follow. But as I say this, I have mic ziko wapi? Nani ako na mic kwa hawa watu watatu? I had 3 people. Nani ameshika mic? Yes. I was just welcoming our guest. Mumeona venye tuna welcome guest huku? He's one of us. That's why we're welcoming him this way. Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. In fact, I had a question for Dr. Njuguna, but unfortunately he left. I hope it will be communicated to him. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, because ningeenda na hii swali, I would not feel good. So like on tea break today, I talked to my mother, and I have not been able to attend my job at Meru County. I am a healthcare worker, but also I am a psychologist, pure psychologist. I have been, I was employed as a pharmaceutical technologist, and I have been tried to be redesignated to mental health, and I'm more specialized in mental health, and I've been doing volunteer work. So I find a lot of suicide cases, all sort of mental health issues, and I have been handling them as a volunteer. So I've been tried a lot to apply for redesignation, but it's like I was thinking it's sort of stigma in mental health, they are not recognizing and all that. So like when I talked to my mother today at tea break, she asked me, why are you not at work? I was like, I'm attending a conference on suicide. So she was like, okay, I understand. It's good you attend it. Because like yesterday, we buried a nurse, a student nurse in our village who took poison. So like I have that information, and when Dr. Njuguna was talking about them not having information of people who are killing themselves and all that, I am willing to offer that information so that people at the mashinani levels, I come from Meru, can benefit. So where are we supposed to report, and are there structures of us reporting so that they can be able to maybe budget and allocate? And counties are very not reliable. So I would ask from the national, how can they support? Because counties, even if they allocate, they may misuse that money and people are suffering. A lot of people are committing suicide, attempting suicide and all that. I have been hands-on and I know.
you.
So I wanted to ask for that assistance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Where do we report? That is inaitangwaje referral pathways and all this information. How do we report it? I have a mic here.
Thank you very much.
You have a minute, my dear.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to appreciate all of you. We are because you are. Now, there's this issue of stigma. Stigma does not start from your side or from our families. It starts with us as patients. So I would recommend, if you're a sick person, if you don't stigmatize yourself, then the stigma will reduce. When people of HIV came out and said we have HIV, with time, HIV stopped being a big menace. Today I talked to Dr. Susan, and I told her, when I came out, nilikuwa naitwa Jackie Mwenda, and I embraced that name. Actually, I added a sentence there, a certified mad woman. And the reason I did that is because I was allowing the other person define themselves. Because ukinikaa hivi nakaa mendawazimu. So by the time you come to me, you're defining yourself. The other issue I want Kcpa to take up is media. You see, when we watch the news, and Nation is telling us a girl died by suicide by jumping off a building. Trust me, if I'm in the house and I'm saying something I know, you have given me an idea. And I'm like, if so-and-so jumped, then I'll jump tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And actually, we die by suicide because we are looking for attention. And the moment I see, naneza tokea kwa news. So I'm like, I must do it bigger. So if you can take media personalities to a conference like this one, all of them, don't leave anyone, so that they can handle how they report suicide. They even give us ideas, jumping, they drank what, or they jump in front of a vehicle. If Kcpa can take that up and take media personalities for a training, Germany conference, and at least empower them with how to report matters, death by suicide, I guarantee you suicide will reduce, because you're giving us idea. Najipeana kama example, you're giving us idea. Yes, I'm bipolar, as I told you. I'm not saying I'm healthy. I'm on medication every day. I have my bad days, and during those bad days, kidogo kidogo Lilian Muli ako hapo, amesema, oh, she took a jiko. My friend, she's already given me an idea. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, Lilian Muli will mention me during the news.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I had a hand here. Can I ask you to just pass that mic to him? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Meanwhile,
mic imefika, but okay, go ahead.
My name
It's
is Benjamin.
okay. Just a minute.
And thank you, Benjamin. He's also a colleague. I'm Joki Kamau. I work for an organization called Kcpa and Wellness in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. Now, the request I would want to have for government is they allocate different specialities for mental health. Because when you go to school, you diverse or you go towards the passion. But you're forced within the market to be something that you never learned for. So, for example, if governments are taking the clinical psychologists, let them also have the industrial psychologists within the office area. They have the family and marriage therapists, even within the county, for example. Because when they concentrate with the clinical psychologists for the clients, let's say for the hospitals, what happens for those people who are serving? I'm very big on caregivers. What happens to them? So that's my key request.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And that also goes to the teaching and training institutions. Yeah, because if I go to a school and I am learning about marriage and family, that is what I'll identify myself with, right? If I am an education psychologist, then I will definitely be very instrumental in the education system. And talking about education, we need to have a deliberate approach to education, to help with the education ministry. I have listened to so many of our counselors in Kajiado. And when they're told at the school, they're told you cannot get into the school, go see our director of education. Then they are told by the director of education, you cannot get to us unless you have a letter from the Ministry of Education, the Directorate of Quality Assurance. Are we together? Ama ni mimi nasikianga peke yangu? Then you go there and these people are either not there, they are dealing with something that Matiang'i said so many years ago, and he said that we are not supposed to go into schools. But here we are. Have you had the discussions about suicide? The whole of the last 2 days. So I was sitting here and I was wondering, what is this that we can do? Dr. Gidua, CP board is in charge of the client and the practitioner. The Ministry of Education will, in many cases, they are going to give work to counselors who are trained within the profession. Now, the challenge here is we who are trained as professionals. So it's like telling a teacher to be an accountant. Just because they have been trained for a few days or a few courses, they are being told now to be. Then I always see, for us who are in institutions of learning and you're training teachers in counseling, you are actually violating our ethics by creating dual relationships and such kind of situations. Our children cannot go to those people in school when they are training them. We need CPB and Kcpa to negotiate with the Ministry of Education so that the licensed counselors can be able to get into institutions. Right? Same case applies with the health system. You go to a hospital, the counselor is a nurse. She's being paid as a nurse. Will she be paid as a counselor? Can we have counselors employed by health systems, whether private or public? I was to pick this na tumalize hii story.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Benjamin, and it seems you've just spoken my mind. I don't know how you've stolen my question. My question still goes to Dr. Gidua. To create more emphasis, when should we expect to be grouped in these job groups? Because if we don't have specific timelines, we might come here 3 years later, we'll be asking the same questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse. Mama County, dakika moja.
One question. This is Margaret Mogaka, Kisii County.
I am not allowing questions. I said we are doing recommendations.
Recommendation.
Yes.
I want to request that in the county government, psychologists should be allowed to sit in the panel that is doing selection for new employees, where the counselors must be included. We do not get that chance. Secondly, as a nurse psychologist, I am paid for nursing. And the years that I'm working as a psychologist, it is not counted. I'm not promoted. We need to be promoted because we are delivering.
Asante sana. She has just confirmed what I was saying, that we are having job. I mean, the JDs are not clear. What needs to be done? Thank you very much. Tabitha, you have something? I have one person from online. Do we have an onliner? Just one. Can I bother you? Who? Pamela. Okay, okay. Pamela, please unmute your mic. Pamela? Pamela Juma, kindly unmute your mic. Your mic is muted. Okay, I'll go to the next, and that is Munira Ahmed.
Thank you for the opportunity. You asked a question about how can community help. My recommendation is to have child-friendly clinics in every community or every county probably. Now that can assist in assessment, treatment, and you can have a team of psychiatrists and a psychologist and a social worker.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Munira. Let's hear from Glory. Glory Nyanchama. Unmute your mic. Glory.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's not Glory, I'm making Goma. And I wanted to give a recommendation. One, you mentioned that it is good to have mental health champions under the community to push or champion the issues affecting the young people. I personally wanted to say, having that we've been having a community strategy for the longest, and this one has been involving our parents and others who are more elderly, but it would be ideal if maybe we have a pilot of having the same community health strategy, having young people involved, because we have so many young psychologists who are trained, who are not working, and who can help champion these issues, and the government through this can see that this model can work if it is piloted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We are picking notes. Our treasurer wants to speak. Hatutaki kunyimwa pesa next year. Yes.
Yeah, I want to appreciate the learning that has gone on here. But as the person that is charged with the responsibility of managing the Kcpa resources, I want to say that in terms of managing disaster, which sometimes causes PTSD, and finally will cause us to think about suicidal ideation, if we can have some resources set aside by the government to help us in managing disaster, because that has been our major challenge. And even as we sit here, we have a population of about 8,000 members who are not all here, because most of our councillors on the ground or at the grassroots are struggling with the issue of employment. We as an association, we've been having CBDs to ensure that our councillors grow. And once in a while, we do give free CBD so that we can grow as a population. But we are greatly challenged when it comes to the councillors that are the grassroots, who cannot be able even to support themselves. They have done a lot of pro bono, but then they ask themselves, for how long shall we be doing this pro bono? So if the government can come in to just fund us, especially when it comes to disaster management, because disaster happens throughout the country, then we can be able to mobilize resources that we have as an association to respond to disaster when and as it arises. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Tabitha. Quite on point. Kuna maswali mbili hapa na kuna recommendations mbili. I had seen one here, and I'm seeing Dr. Hassan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mine is not a question, it's a recommendation. Initially, we had alcohol and drug abuse and performance contracting as a cross-cutting issue. Last year, it was removed. ADA is the most closest topic to mental health. So through the board and through Kcpa, through NACADA and other government institutions and civil organizations, can we lobby? We have mental health as a cross-cutting issue in the government performance contracting. Because if this goes through, we will be able to reach to the communities by having an indicator that if it's NACADA, we are going to reach 10,000 Kenyans on matters ADA or mental health, whatever it is. I think that's a very good entry. It's a smooth entry, Dr. Githua. This is something we can really talk about and lobby and make noise, because otherwise we will be making noise year in, year out, and nobody will recognize our effort. The other thing I would want us to encourage each other is that psychology is a profession, counseling is a profession. Can we stop this business of doing volunteering so that when there's a disaster, I'm just supporting what she was saying, let us be recognized as professionals. Sio kupeana community service. We've done community service years in and years out. Let us now be recognized as a professional, which is a very critical professional, and that needs to be given the attention and the priority that it deserves. So let us push towards this. Let's not give up. Let's support each other, support our leaders to make sure that this profession is recognized in this government and even in governments that will come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please pass the mic to Dr. Hassan right here. And this is the last that we are picking. Thank you.
Thank you for putting me at the last end tail of the day. She has taken part of my point, but I wanted to give a task to our board members in the ministry. I see quite a number of professionals in this field complaining that there is lack of scheme of service. Indeed, there is a scheme of service revised in 2022 by the public service. Where you have been categorized under is where the issue is. Who remembers which scheme of service you appear under? Social workers scheme of service. And who are the social workers? People with a degree in social work, sociology, psychiatric social work, psychology. Yeah, that is the way it has been listed. But now I want to tell you a bit of secret. For colleagues who are in the ministry now, you have a lot of job, because I worked for the ministry and I know the politics that is going on in the ministry. It's all about recognizing this cadre within the ministry that is causing a problem. And I thought Dr. Njoroge would have been here just to tell him, because quite a number of times we have fought over what is the issue of having a psychiatric doctor and a psychiatric and a counseling doctor or a psychologist doctor. I mean, there's no difference. There's nothing. When his budget, you saw he was talking about budget, and he based the budget on the terminal stage of mental illness. And when you put your budget at that end, that is when you are psychotic, that is in the definition of non-communicable disease. The good part that I'm medic, so I will be also now frugating him the way he does it. In the field of mental health, it is like someone with cancer, and cancer has several stages. They are all non-communicable diseases, and they have several stages. And when you concentrate on the terminal stage, which is a psychotic stage where you need hospitalization with some medication, you are not still managing mental illness. But the bulk of mental illnesses is at the earliest stages, which we are now struggling with, and the identification of that. So my take, or rather the envelope, I will give it to our chair at the board and senior counsel here, is that beside the politics in the ministry, you also need to play the politics to place yourself where you belong. We'll go to the recruitment of the police. It was advertised on public service, and the grading, am I going long? I'll stop here. The grading at the police, I looked at that advert. It is indeed typically for a medical doctor. True or false? Yeah, they put the whole grading the way it was supposed to be. And therefore, scheme of service is there. The politics at the ministry should be the thing we should be working on, so that our colleagues who have gone to school to do this noble job, it's like the way teachers say their job is calling. This is a job that is calling as well, according to my definition. And therefore, we should help them to process that system, so that the county government who is in charge of health services should impress the way it is supposed to be. Other ministries have already picked it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Hassan. A lot of information, right? And very good information. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of Professor Kimani Kidongo, my good friend and big brother. I just noticed that he came in. Karibu sana, sir. as we end, I have heard what Tabitha has said. And last week there was International Day of Disaster Reduction, Risk Reduction. And I happened to be in a symposium discussing this. And what I normally do, every time I go to a symposium, I bring out the issue of mental health and psychosocial services. And what came out here is that even though people are responding to disaster in this country, it is only PFA. Look, listen, link. What happens 1 month or 3 weeks after is nothing that is considered. And that is why we are having a lot of issues along the way. So what I made, the recommendation I made, and I hope that again you can follow up with the National Disaster Unit and Disaster Management, is that we need to have clear guidelines on supporting people post-disaster. That is post-disaster resilience. That includes psychosocial support. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just given you something for your money. Please. And Daktari gave you a very good matrix of designing programs. Dr. Njuguna gave you a very good matrix of designing programs. Sasa mutanguka mtihani kweli? Si tuko na answers? We have the answers, right? Yes. I also want to make an announcement about mental health. I happen to be, because I am also in men and boys, I am in a technical group with National Syndemic Disease Control Council on Men and Boys. And what I have been able to do is to push for the agenda of men and boys and mental health. I really do a lot of men's mental health. And so I was able to push the issues of mental health through their manual. They're having a manual on men and boys in health, so look out for that. They are also having a framework on implementing for men and boys in the health sector. Okay? So that captures the ADA that you mentioned, and it also captures issues of suicide and other issues. So please, look out for some of these documents, visit some of these agencies and get to learn from them. I have finished. I just want to invite, allow me not to pick anything else. We are way beyond our time. Without a mic. Unaona CEO amesimama, mshahara yangu imeenda ya leo. Tafadhali, my salary is gone. You have half a second. Thank you very much. We are getting to a very interesting session. And this session we are going to be awarding great people. People who have greatly contributed to the growth of the profession. And with this, I want to invite our very own chair for RIPAC, that is Jinsela. Oh, it is Coco. Okay, sorry. Madam Coco, mimi naomba CEO akuinvite.
Asante. Thank you. I'm one person who gets a little bit disturbed when we are not keeping time. Thank you so much, the senior councils here. Nice seeing you, all of you. At this point, in the interest of time, I first of all want to once again appreciate all of you who have made your time to come for those 2 days, as well as people who are following us online. The other thing I want to acknowledge once again and for the last time, people who have really supported us, Tinada, Amani Counseling Center. We also have Maranatha Restoration Home. We have Kcpa. We appreciate you so much. Dr. Githongo and Daktari here. These people, we try to look for big companies like Safaricom, but they say they are up to the task. And we really want to appreciate you guys for the great work that you have done. I also want to appreciate our media team. Have you loved the way they have taken us? They have also contributed so much because, you know, the amount of money they charged us, it's like they also gave into this particular activity. So we really want to appreciate you. I know they had given me their phone number. I'll be communicating to us as we draw to the close of this particular activity. In the interest of time, allow me to call Madam Coco so that she can take us through the awarding of these, you know, great awards. We have a list of people who will be awarded today, and Madam Coco is going to lead us. She is our deputy chair, and once you are called, because it's a long list, we pray that you are going to, you know, to come here very fast. I also need to mention that we shall have a certificate for each one of us who has attended. But then what we have done is that we are going to send you, you know, ever since this administration took over, we decided that we want to be digital. Are you with me? And therefore we'll be sending those certificates to you so long as you have given us your correct emails. Or unto you, if the way you do your handwriting outside there, haionekani, so email ikibounce, but we are going to follow the list that you filled on Google Forms. So thank you so much, and Madam Coco, so that again we can close this session.
Thank you, Moffat. Hamjamboni. Tunahisi njaa. Nafikiri tumekula lunch. Kuchoka. Haya, tusimameni kidogo. Tunyooshe misuli. Nasikia wengine wanauliza misuli. Misuli ni nini? We stretch our muscles, eh? So like Dr. Susan did us in the morning. So, mikono juu. Sideways. Sideways, right? Right. My right would be your left. So, mikono juu. Right. Left. Right again. Left. Haya, tuiname kidogo. Kwa mbele. Haya, tusimame. I think now we've stretched, eh? Haya, karibuni. Mketi chini. Asanteni kwa nafasi hii. I'm excited to be here. Na mine is very brief. It is about awarding, we are all winners. We all deserve this. But like Professor said, there's season 1, season 2, season 3. So others might come in season 2. Today we are starting with season 1. And I would wish to welcome Professor Catherine Gashoda, at least to give us a brief on what Ushauriano Award is all about, so that we can understand where the idea came from and how we reached here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to appreciate that we are coming to the very end, and that we are now in the awards session, which is the very last session as we are coming to the end of this conference. And this is Ushauri Awards 2024. Like I said there before, in the counseling and psychology field, we have not had an opportunity for awards giving, and therefore within our policy for REPAC, that is the Research, Publications and Awards Committee, we have the awards category, which starts with the best humanitarian champion, the best county, the best counselor and psychologist, the best institution, the best author, the best researcher, and honorary award for best supporter of counseling and psychology mainstreaming, not necessarily a counselor or psychologist. And that is why we are having Honorable Wamunyinyi here, so that we can award him for work that he did. He is a psychologist, but he was doing it as a parliamentarian. I think I've corrected it. So it is an honorary award for spreading humanitarian work done. And so at this moment, I would want to invite the chair of the Board of Counselors and Psychologists, who is also going to invite Honorable Wamunyinyi Wafula, so that he can tell us something about a deliberation that we were having with him. Like I said before, he is the one who was the driver of the counselors and psychologists bill, and he did a lot, and he's going to give us that particular history. But we still want him to pick up this repealing of the penal code, so that we can remove that impediment that we are having, where people who are struggling and living with mental health conditions, they are, if you try to take away your life through suicide, then you're seen to be a criminal, or you are considered a criminal. So we want to celebrate this moment. The people that we are awarding are here, and there is the team that is going to take us through this. And so we want the chair to come, make some comments, and whatever else that he would want to tell us, and then he is going to call Honorable Wamunyinyi, and then you are going to be supported, our chair of the Board of Counselors and Psychologists, by my deputy, Madam Coco Muhammad.
Thank you so much, Chair. Let's give her a round of applause, please. First of all, before I do the small task that I have today, I'd like to thank the leadership of Kcpa, starting with the very able chairperson, Professor Catherine Gashuda, for the work that you've done. Thank you so much to the CEO and my brother, Mr. Moffat Kago, for the work that you've also done. Thank you so much, my colleague and my brother, the Vice Chair of the Counselors and Psychologists Board, Dr. Kimani Gidongo. People may not know that you're the Vice Chair, so it's my job to actually make them know that you're the Vice Chair. Also, I'd like to also recognize other members who are here, members of the board, Madam Ele Kambithi. We also have Madam Grace, who has also been working with us for a very long time in the public service. We also have Madam Judy Twala with NACADA. Thank you so much for the work you've done. Really, really great. Dr. Hassan, thank you so much for supporting us as well. All the officials of Kcpa, all invited guests, my fellow counselors and psychologists, good afternoon. I am so excited to be here. Because I'm not going to make a speech, and neither will I answer the questions that were asked. It would be really out of protocol at this moment. But mine is just to say that it is a good day, Prof. This is where we wanted to be. We've been fighting for this. I'm a career psychologist, and I'm proud to say that. That means that for the last 25 years of my life, the only one thing I've been asking myself is that in this Republic of Kenya, can we have people who deal with people's emotions, who work with them, who are able to help the other auxiliary people, and in fact medics, psychiatrists, and other people to actually work on this. I'm very happy because where you're seated today is Daystar, which is one of the premier institutions which started teaching psychology as well in Kenya, which is also symbolic. I think it should be mentioned as such. So because of that, I'm going to be happy because as we award these individuals who are coming here, I want all other counselors and psychologists in the Republic to aspire to be on this stage. Aspire to be on this stage. People have run the race. We have run it, and it's now time to hand over that baton. I'm so happy when I see young people who want to be psychologists. I'm so happy when I see older people who want to be counselors or psychologists, people of faith, people in the CBOs. I'm so excited when I see that. So without further ado, I will not answer those questions because I know those are very critical questions and they would take a lot of time. But what I'll do is, because of obeying protocol, we've learned in government nowadays, when you're given a task, don't start straying. Eh? So my job right now is to humbly invite Honorable Wafula Wamunyinyi, a brother, our senior. Please let's give him a round of applause. And for those of you who may not know, I know Professor Catherine Goshuta has already introduced him, but I met Honorable Wamunyinyi when we were actually working on the act, the bill at the time, and right now it has turned into the act. And sir, as you see, we now have a board as a result of the hard work that we've done, and I am honored to be the first chair of that board. I know that other Kenyans shall also serve even afterwards. But karibu sir, hao ni watu wako.
Congratulations, Chairman.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, first let me begin by thanking Professor. 3 days ago, I think, I was on my farm in Bungoma when I received a call from Professor Kasuda telling me that a conference had been arranged, international conference for suicide prevention. I said to her, I'm at home, and then she went further now to tell me why she was inviting me. First, I have been recognized for the role I played in ensuring that the profession of counselors and psychologists is recognized in Kenya properly and is put in the statute. I was very excited because from the time when we tried to introduce the bill, it's taken long. I think we first my first attempt was in 2003, 2004. Then it was difficult for a private member to push a bill in Parliament because you had to seek leave, what they called leave of the House, first to introduce a motion which, if approved, then you can introduce a bill. So it took, even to pass a motion, took more than a year. We did work out on a bill. It ran up to 2007 when Parliament was dissolved before it had been passed. Then 2008, I lost the election in 2007, so 2008 to 12, I was not in Parliament. I had handed it over to Dr. Seli, Dr. Smiyu Seli, to process the bill during that term, but he wasn't able. But when I was re-elected in 2013, my first assignment was this bill. And luckily that time, the standing orders had changed. You didn't need to bring a motion to seek leave to introduce the bill. You could just introduce the bill right away. So then we embarked. We had some draft which we had done previously, but then we had to work on it afresh with the chairman. This Bwana Kidongo was very instrumental. He was my consultant. We didn't have a strong legal team, drafters in Parliament at that time, so he was one of the drafters. He was one of my drafters, Bwana Kidongo. And I consulted him on almost everything during the day and at night. We set up a team that was helping to work on the bill, and many people are involved. I don't remember some of them, but some are here. Including, you mentioned Mbidi. I think Mbidi was one of, yes, she was one of the people who are involved. We had some Professor Karaoke, Priscilla at the University of Nairobi, and a few others, many others. There was another professor from Egerton, yeah, Sindabi, and others. We ended up having a stakeholder consultation at the Kenya School of Government, where I presented the draft which we had worked on for scrutiny, editing, omission or addition of anything which was important. So after that we pushed it, and luckily this time we were so focused and we managed to convince a number of members. We held another meeting within Parliament in one of the committees. The clerk gave us a committee. So I called stakeholders again in Parliament. That one I funded. I sponsored that one. So usually MPs sometimes are paid to process such, but me, I footed the bill myself. Then we went to the floor of the House. And of course there were arguments about some provisions, but we said it would rather we pass the bill the way it was and would then look at amendments in the future. I think this is how we convinced some of those who are opposed to the bill, or some provisions within the bill. They didn't like some provisions in the bill, but we convinced them and they agreed to support. Dr. Nyikal was very instrumental. He really supported, and he's a very resourceful person. You know, he's a former Director of Medical Services and is an experienced legislator, you know, at the moment. I even spoke to him this afternoon, but he was involved in some committee work in Parliament. I wanted to extend an invitation to ask him to come because you have issues that remain unfinished. We have the existing conflict that need to be sorted, particularly to do with the business of today of mental health and prevention of suicide. In the Kenya's statute at the moment, if you committed suicide and you completed suicide, you would have committed a serious felony, but you will be nowhere to be charged. But if you attempted suicide, if you tried suicide and you didn't complete, you ended up at maybe Kenyatta Hospital or some others and you are helped to recover, you will be taken in for attempted suicide. You will be remanded in custody for a serious crime until possibly it is heard and determined by a court. Of course, there will be witnesses about the attempted suicide. Clearly, you have been discussing the issue of mental health. And this is an issue of health. It is something which can be treated. You're trying to establish ways of ensuring that it is prevented, it is treated, that those affected are supported. Instead of supporting, you want to charge them for a serious offense of attempted suicide. When I had the journey by Jacqueline, very moving journey, what she went through. If the police had known she wanted to kill the children and to kill herself, would she be here with us? Maybe she would have been in prison somewhere serving 5 years in jail. And you see, this is a case, a life case. You have heard the story. This is where we think Parliament needs to address, to review that legislative piece and possibly cause amendments so that there is no conflict. And Daktari, I also wanted to ask Dr. Njuguna about the same, what the government, the ministry's position is towards that. Because usually a private member will propose some legislation. If the government is not keen, they will make sure it doesn't go through. You know, through numbers. You know the numbers in Parliament. It's not about reason. The numbers in Parliament, when they want something, it will go through. So that's why we would have wished to know the position of the government. Would they be ready and willing to look at this in a reasonable way, to the extent that you'll be helping, you know, patients, those who need help, particularly those victims of mental health. And would then, I think a few members, I spoke to some 2 members who are prepared to lead this process. If the ministry, through, it will be slow, because you have to go to the Attorney General, the drafters, come back to the ministries, the cabinet, and so on. But a private member will just move it straight away. Then also related to that, Professor, the question of budget. The budget for mental health. I heard Dr. Njuguna talk about the Mathare hospital, the referral hospital. And actually that is where their focus is. Psychologists and counselors have a big role to play on cases, on mental cases, and support to the victims. So there need to be that recognition and provision of the requisite budget to deal with the issues of mental health at the level of psychologists and counselors. I think that will be important for us. Now, having said that, I think Kcpa also, you remember your operationalization took place in 2022 when the bill was passed in 2014 and ascended to by President Kibaki immediately. I mean, not President Kibaki, but President, I served under both of them, so President Uhuru Kenyatta, he ascended to it immediately. It became law, but it remained in the shelves until 2022. I want to thank you and commend you for the work you've done so far, because I think we have made a lot of steps. Tremendous work has been done, but there's still a lot to be done. Because we envisaged, when we were working with Kidongo and others, that this profession will grow not just at the national level, but decentralized to the rural areas. That is where many cases are found, cases that require psychological support. I was even imagining that you would have a counseling department in all the directorates or ministries of government, at all health facilities, not just the referral hospitals, even the health centers and dispensaries, at the chief's offices, the administration, the previous, what was it called, provincial administration, which is now national government administration. You should also have counselors and psychologists in all those places, so that we will minimize, they will participate in prevention and support not just the cases of mental health, but even addiction. We have lost so many people through substance abuse, those that are involved in excessive alcohol consumption and many end up dying. Wale wanakunywa chang'aa, wanakunywa tu mpaka inakula ndani, organs. I sometimes call it suicide, Professor. If you drink to death, I think it's just suicide also, and it must be arrested. So there's a lot more you guys need to do. So I do not have a lot to say. You didn't prepare me to make a speech, so I thought I should come and receive this award. I do appreciate. I'm deeply honored by the recognition, and I will definitely share this with all those who participated, including Dr. Kidongo. We work together very closely. I'll share with all those that, I'll dedicate to all those that we work together. And I hope that we'll be moving on to grow this profession to greater heights. So asanteni sana, Chairman, thank you so much. I have learned a lot nikiwa hapa, from what I wasn't here yesterday, but today only, there has been so much. And the moving journey by Jacqueline. Asanteni sana. God bless all of you, and God bless the profession. Asante sana. Chairman, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Wafula Munyini, for those remarks. I know at this time we're at the point of doing the awards, but I wanted to, even before you sat down, Mheshimiwa, to actually give us a bit of hope about the repealing of Section 226 or the Penal Code. When the former President Uhuru Kenyatta constituted the Mental Health Task Force in 2019, I was a proud member of that task force as well. And what happened is that one of the recommendations from that task force was the repealing of Section 226 of the Penal Code. As I'm standing right now, the task force members have been meeting, and it is actually in process. Actually, the AG's office right now has a proposal from government. So I think it will be very easy. Once you go to Parliament and you speak about it, it will just go through in so quickly. So I really want to say the work you're doing is really great. I really want to say that has been one of the things we fought for the most. And that task force, by the way, which I think at one point, maybe later, Prof will share with people about, went around the whole country discussing about what do Kenyans really think about mental health, what do we know, and a lot of the processes you're seeing today are as a result of the task force on mental health work and the journey, which I really appreciate being part of. I think the Deputy Chair should come and take over so that I don't speak too much. The problem with chairs is that if you give me the microphone, I shall talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Please don't go, because I would wish you to award our chief guest, Bwana Wafula Wamunyenyi.
Let's do it this way.
So Bwana Wafula Wamunyenyi is being awarded. We are acknowledging his advocacy in Parliament for the passage of the Counsellors and Psychologists Act. We'll start with this. Thank you. Let me receive this. Kcpa? No, please sit. I'll call you again. But I would wish Bwana wa Munyenye to remain. I would wish you to remain so that you can award our winners. We were told by Madam Chair, the Ushauriano Awards, Ushauri Awards, we were to apply. And unfortunately, I don't know why many of us did not apply for these positions. Best Humanitarian Award, Best County, Best Counselor, Best Institution, Best Author, Best Researcher. Just a few of them applied. And of course, when there's no competition, it means they are the winners. So for the position of Best Humanitarian Award, it goes to none other than Mama County ya Kisii, Margaret Mogaka. Yes, you are allowed. For the humanitarian award, runner-up is Mr. Gabriel Waroi from Kirinyaga County. Kwa hivyo natumai mwaka ujao tukiambia watu wa apply, tutakuwa na applications nyingi. Sawa? You can see it's happening. So this is season 1. Gabriel Waroi. Hannah. Gabriel Waroi, he's the one. The humanitarian runner-up. We have the best institution. And this best institution did not have to be a counseling institution. We said any institution could apply. So we have the winner being National Institute of Business Studies, NIBS. Do we have their representative here? Oh, Nairobi Institute of Business Studies. Oh, okay. Sorry. That is NIBS. Runners-up are KIBCO, Kenya Institute of Business and Counseling. The next category. Next category is Best Author, none other than Professor Catherine Gashuda. Na tuko na waandishi wengi wa vitabu. Tuko na waandishi wengi wa vitabu. Mwakani ninatarajia tutakuwa hapo wengi. The next category is Best Counselor, and the winner is Anne Njoki Wambugu. Agnes Njoki Wambugu. Okay. She's Agnes. Best Counselor. Nanyuki from Kcpa County. The runner-up, Ajitayarishe Habiba Mohammed. Habiba Mohammed. Okay, and she's online. I understand she's not here physically. And the first runner-up is Habiba Mohammed. Okay, the second runner-up is none other than our CEO, Moffat Cargo. Faith. Faith.
Wow. It feels good to be recognized and to be gifted. Look at that. Wow. So on my list, I have someone, at least 2 people who are going to be awarded in absentia. But before I get there, I want us to recognize this great man who was the 4th chairman of Kcpa and reignited the push for the legislation for counselors and psychologists until he guaranteed its entrenchment in the year 2014. And also supported curricula in counseling psychology, and just like a good mother does, he did not just deliver the act. He made sure that he got to the board so that he can protect the interests of the counselors. Please, let's put our hands together as we invite Dr. James Gidongo to receive his award. Pigeni ubwana makofi jameni. Daktari has been in the trenches with our act. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you. We recognize your great contribution. And we are proud that you are the foundation that we run on. It is his great shoulders, Msimuone Ivo, it is his great shoulders that we are riding on today as counselors and psychologists. Thank you, sir. Awesome. Our next awardee. Yes, sir. Please. Oh, by all means. Oh, yeah.
This award is not mine. As you have heard the journey we have walked with Mheshimiwa here, day and night, when we were doing that particular one. And the chair of Kcpa was behind us. Wanjiko here, the director of counseling services in the government then, was with us. Dr. Idua, we were with him in the trenches. Ella Kambidi is here, was also with us, among very many others. But above all, it is for the profession of counseling and psychology. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, sir. The next awardee initiated counseling services within government and introduced protocols, processes, and policies for offering counseling services in public service. She is also famed for introducing a training mental health ambassadors within public service health. Let's put our hands together for our very own Madam Grace Wanjiko Joseph. When there was no board, she was bold enough to ensure that we were within the public service. Thank you so much, Madam. We recognize your great work. We appreciate you. Asante sana. Thank you. And we also did a research on public service during her time, which gave us very good results on the health of our public service. Our next awardee was the Secretary of Kcpa during the third administration and put parameters for operations in the association and served with commitment and integrity. Let's put our hands together for our very own Veronica Irungu. Pigieni Veronica makofi. Thank you so much. We are in the 5th regime, and she was in the 3rd. That's a foundation right there. Thank you so much, Madam Veronica. We appreciate you. These are the foundations that people we are riding on as KCPA, and we truly recognize them. Wow. Our next awardee became the KCPA administrator during the 4th administration and has devoted in working for KCPA and protecting the interests of the association. I am sure every time you call, there's someone who receives your call. And even when you're dumb and you're feeling like, I am tired, there's someone who's giving you a smile and an encouragement. Let's put our hands together as we appreciate and recognize Madam Veronica Wahu Kimuthia. Pigeni makofi jameni ya Wahu. Munapiganga simu usiku. This is one resilient soul and very happy. Every other time we walk to the office, we find a smile. And she always has our answers. Even when there are no answers, she will tell us, I'll answer you, and she will respond. Thank you so much, Veronica. We appreciate your great work of over 10 years in KCPA. Asante. Our next awardee was an administrator in the 3rd administration and worked devotedly to further the association's interest when it was in its infancy. Let's put together our hands and appreciate Nora Otieno. Where is Nora? She's at the back. Oh, karibu sana, mpigeni makofi. This is legit. Hata amevaa rangi zetu. Mpigieni Nora makofi. I think my registration came when she was in office. Thank you so much, Nora, for serving KCPA so devotedly and giving us the systems that we have today. Asante sana. Then I have two guests, two awardees who I am going to mention their names, but we are going to recognize them in absentia. One was the 2nd chairman of Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association, and that is Mr. Alfred Kibunja. Let's put our hands together and recognize the great work that Mr. Kibunja did, he is also a foundation that we swiftly ride on today. And then we also have Mr. Elias Gikundi. He was the 5th chairman of Kcpa and coordinated the psychosocial support for Kenyans during COVID-19 epidemic. Let's put our hands together and appreciate and recognize the great work of Mr. Gikundi. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I beg to step aside as I invite our very own Madam Ngene to come and read out the other awardees. Mpigeni makofi. Thank you.
Bwana Githua, please take a seat. I know standing is not chombo chetu. Okay. We need somebody to come and assist us in awarding these certificates. So, may I call Dr. Hassan? Oh, you are God. Karibu.
It's so nice to be recognized. Do you remember workplace and mental health? Yeah, that is part of it. We feel motivated, isn't it? So I have the honor to introduce our next awardee, Dr. Helen Joroge. Dr. Helen Joroge. I know you are not feeling very good, but I'm glad you are here. Dr. Helen Joroge is a long-standing exceptional contributor towards the growth of counseling and psychology profession in Kajiado County and country at large. Let us put our hand together for her, please. Continue clapping for her so that she's encouraged to come up the stairs. Do we have Dr. Nancy Nyaga in the house? Dr. Nancy Nyaga? You know, we like being associated with celebrities. Indio, everyone became Obama's relative. Dr. Nancy Nyaga is a good friend of mine. We go to the same church. I'm trying to associate myself. She is a refined clinical psychologist who has zeal for clinical work and has incorporated coaching into her clinical work and trains others on the same. Our hands together for her. Congratulations. Is Professor Alice Munene here? Okay, we just want to appreciate her. She's getting the award as an elder practitioner in the counseling and psychology field who has contributed immensely to its growth through her multiple roles as an academician and practitioner. Let's clap for her. The next one in absentia, Professor Susan Muriungi, our own board member. She's a senior counselor and lecturer and a board member of Kcpa in charge of those with special needs and disabilities. She has ensured the scientific conference takes place through her strategic contributions and organizing for the venue. Let's put our hands together for her. Dr. Jared Bravin is our next awardee. Okay. Again in absentia, has contributed to the growth of counseling and psychology department in Daystar and attending planning meeting for the International Scientific Conference to ascertain the venue and all protocols were looked into. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Jared. Again, a great lady in the counseling space in Kenya, but she's in absentia. We want to recognize Madam Eleka Mbithi, HSC. She has over the years contributed to the growth of counseling and psychology through her leadership at Tamani Counseling Center and Training Institute, curriculum development, and participation in various committees and panels. Let's put our hands together for her. Now, another association moment. My very good friend of many, many years. There are times we were calling each other partner in crime. Next awardee is our deputy chair. I know most of you can't associate her with crime. Our deputy chair, Madam Coco Mohammed, currently serving as deputy chairperson at Kcpa and in charge of Kcpa clusters and disaster management. She has provided support towards disaster management with exceptional commitment. Another round of applause. Our next awardee is Vespa's changer. Cost Mpo. Even online, cost. Vespa's changer, the chairperson, Kilifi, and has been carrying out community programs in Kilifi and coordinated efforts for offer of psychosocial services during the Shakahola tragedy. Let's clap for him. Another round of applause for them. Thank you very much. And with that, I invite Dr. Tabitha.
I want to say that Kcpa recognizes your contribution in the counseling field, so you are also recognized. Can you appreciate yourself? But most importantly, we want to also award the following. So about 7, we are just about to finish. She has advocated for integrity and transparency for the association and has consistently safeguarded the interest of the association through her feedback and support. It's none other than Reverend Lois No. Can we appreciate Reverend Lois? I'm told it's in absentia, but we just want to acknowledge her contribution. Then the next awardee has tirelessly contributed to growth and quality of training, counseling services and clinical supervision. His knack for processes, structures, and models of delivery for clinical services is unmatched. So can we appreciate Dr. Tom Opulusa? Dr. Thomas is here. He has been coordinating the conference, so can we continue appreciating him until he receives the award? Next, we will be awarding Professor Clement Cheriot. He is an icon in the counseling and psychology field and has contributed immensely to its growth through his multiple roles as an academician and practitioner. He attends Kcpa CPDs without fail and contributes immensely. Kindly let's appreciate Professor Clement. Again. Online, especially the online viewers. Can we appreciate our fellow online participant? Clement, we can see you. We appreciate you. Thank you very much, and you've been awarded. I hope you will come to receive your award. Then next we have Judy Twala. We will be awarding her for an enthusiast in the field of alcohol and drug abuse, treatment and rehabilitation. She is proactive, supportive, and very dedicated to reducing the prevalence of ADA in the country through her contribution, roles, and function. Kindly let's appreciate Judith. Appreciate her. Thank you. Next, we shall be appreciating Dr. Rebecca Gitau. She was the treasurer during the Kcpa second and third administration and did due diligence to ensure the finances of the association were well utilized and made efforts to seal financial loopholes. Can we appreciate her in absentia, please? Then next, we shall be appreciating Dr. Anne Wambugu. She is an outstanding lecturer and practitioner in the counseling and psychology field and has contributed immensely to the birth of postgraduate marriage and family curricula and produced accomplished marriage and family therapists for our beloved country and beyond. We are also appreciating her in absentia. Kindly clap for her. Then finally, we want to appreciate Dr. Charity Waidima. She is an icon in the psychology field. She has contributed immensely to its growth through her multiple roles as an academician and practitioner. She occasionally gives the association critical feedback to spur the growth and development of the association. Kindly let us appreciate her, and kindly appreciate yourself for appreciating others. As counselors, we appreciate one another for the roles we do. Maybe next time you'll be the one awarded. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, our treasurer. I want to take this opportunity also to appreciate some of the members who have worked really well for the association. And we all know you saw what you planned. We have Dr. Enoch Orina. Dr. Enoch Orina, a vibrant chair of Nakuru County, who has taken the knack of working with other organizations on the ground in advancing the mandate of KCPA. Who are we going to? Jane Seller. Jane Seller, please come and award. Thank you very much, Dr. Orina, for the good work. Let's appreciate Dr. Orina again. Then we also have Margaret Mogaka. Margaret Mogaka, who has worked as chair of KCPA. Oh, she's already been. I understand that Margaret was here. Then we have one of our powerful chair, Mr. Kamau Moshira. Mr. Kamau Moshira from Kirinyaga County. Karibu sana chair, Kirinyaga County. Okay. Mr. Kamau Moshira is the forecast and energetic chairperson of Kirinyaga County, who has demonstrated brilliant managerial skills in coordinating exceptional psychosocial activities in Kirinyaga County. Let's appreciate Mr. Kamau Moshira. Thank you very much, Mr. Kamau Moshira. Thank you very much, Mr. Kamau. And then we have Patrick Madanda. Patrick, in absentia, I'm made to understand he's not around. Then we also have Anne Muturi. I don't know whether Anne Muturi is present. He's a member of SEAC Committee, Standards, Ethics, and Accreditation Committee, in absentia. Then we have the REPAC chair, it is a Research Publication Committee. Her name is Madam Jane Sela Mogambi, the one who is there, and she's going to receive an award. She was the chair for this conference for the committee that was organizing. She has served as the Research Publication Awards Committee for the year 2024 and demonstrated commitment, enthusiasm, and innovativeness in our approach to leadership and execution. Asante sana, Jane Sela. Thank you very much. I want to invite Tom. Tom, come forward and do the remaining. Thank you. So, Madam Grace, please come forward and issue the awards.
I'm not sure if you are told that when it comes towards the end, you should not be clapping, but clapping is just an appreciation of our members who will be appreciating us the next time we'll be receiving the awards. Now there is a member who has acted as the scientific conference RIPAC committee as the secretary, informing the members of the tasks that the team needed to complete. This is an honest, devoted, and involved performer. We are talking about Ratemo Obed. Please, let's escort him with claps until he gets today's title, or rather his medal. I'm the only one clapping. Thank you, thank you. You definitely deserve a medal, Bwana Obed. There is one person here, I don't know if we have another one, might be the only head of state commendation. If the head of state can commend one of us, why not us? I'm talking about one who has cultivated networks and alliances for the scientific conference on behalf of the RIPAC committee, and assisted in enlisting government agencies and other pertinent parties. Members will agree with me that this person was also here, quite energetic. She is not tiring. One, Nashipai Faith. I'm the only one clapping. Faith, you definitely deserve that medal. We've had one of us, Chair, Emeritus. Thank you. Now we have another member who has oversaw the evaluation of abstracts, the presentations that we've had, making sure, burning the midnight oil, that each has been reviewed and that the reviewed reports are turned in. Not just reviewing, but turning them in, so that at least it is confirmed that a review was done. And the researchers were informed about the progress of their work. Bwana Githinji Nicholas. Maybe we are appreciating him in absentia, which is okay. It's possible that he's resting. After that work, of course, you need to rest. But at least the Ninis, their word. Then we have another one. I'm reading here, and I'm now learning. I think I'm really learning today of a refined clinical psychologist who demonstrates keenness in providing quality psychological services, attending CPDs offered by the association and other related activities. Of course, that means that he is growing and developing. He works in humanitarian spaces and has exceptional capacities that affords him recognition. Let's recognize Gabriel Warui. You know, when you work so much, you find yourself being repeated several times. I'm sure even in heaven, there's that bit. Is in Isawa. Thank you. Now we have an institution. The institution that we are sitting in, if you're not careful, we can be chucked out if you don't appreciate. But again, we don't have no otherwise. We have to appreciate whether we don't want to be chucked out or in. Daystar University has provided our venue. We've appreciated. Whenever people come from there, in the afternoon, I see most times, and I'm looking at the congregation, postprandial narcolepsy. And that is as a result of whatever takes place after the queues. Their senior managers include the Vice Chancellor, Professor Laban Peter Airo, the HOD Counseling and Psychology, Dr. Jared Bravin, Dr. Kennedy Ongaro, the Dean of School of Applied Social Sciences, where we fall, the DVC Professor Faith Nguru, also slated to grace the occasion. Members, I can tell you that they were able to present us with their psychology and counseling students and faculty to attend in large numbers. We are sure when you leave this place, it will be a hub of psychology and counseling. Please, let's appreciate Daystar University. they definitely deserve a medal. Then we have another institution, and this is Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute. This is an institution that is famed for being an outstanding institution for counseling and psychology at tertiary level, which is the oldest training institution for counseling and trailblazer in this field. Amani has generously supported the activities of Kcpa. I want to add that Amani has already paid up for this year as an institutional member. Amani appreciation, you definitely deserve a medal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tom Onyango, for that very good job. Now, we still have a few certificates to give out, and these are for the outstanding counties. They are not in any order, so when I call your county, si wewe wa kwanza, nyote tumko sawa. Let me start. Naanza nyumbani. Kilifi County. Sikupendelea, ni vile imeandikwa kwa list. Kisii County. Mama Kisii. Akifuatwa na Kirinyaga County. Hao wengine hawajafika. Nakuru County. That is Kisii County. Kirinyaga County. Nakuru County, Nairobi County. Nyeri County. Nyeri. Nyeri County, Meru County. Nyeri is here. Kakamega County. Kakamega County, their patron will collect for them. And last but not least, Tana River County. Ukusikia claps. Tana River. Mtapatana kwa train. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I wish to thank each one of us for staying up to this moment. Oh, this would have been a disaster. We cannot forget to appreciate our lady here, Joyce Mkadoe Ngure. She has been splendid. She has done an awesome job, and I want to believe, even the ones who are viewing out there, I would wish to call upon Bwana Githua, please do us the honor. Pole. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Joyce. You have done us proud. Thank you. Thank you, Bwana Githua. Take over.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say that we have come to the close of our scientific conference. Have you loved every bit of it? Thank you so much for staying on. Before I close, I need to say that There's someone who lost her charger, and please, if you have in the 6th or 7th row, there was a charger somewhere, probably you can check on her behalf so that we can hand it over to her. We want to appreciate you so much. We don't have words to appreciate you. You have been so committed. We don't take it for granted. And when we call you next time, we are sure that you will surely come. I want to take this opportunity to thank even the board members, CPB. We really appreciate you for honoring this invitation. We don't take it for granted. And we are so grateful knowing that we are working together. We are not competing against each other. We are together as one. We therefore want to really thank God for you because of the great work that you are doing. We want to appreciate our guests who have been here from day one. Okay, thank you. I'm being told that we will take a photo with the board members who are here, so please, we are going to be calling you shortly. So we want to appreciate all the guests who have been here. They have shared with us, and I can tell you it was a very rich experience with our guests. At the same time, I also want to appreciate the online followers. We don't take it for granted. I don't know, but for me, I don't think I've ever been seated listening an online meeting for 2 days. We really need to put our hands together even for our online followers. Thank you for demonstrating commitment. We actually don't take it for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough. Each one of you, you have a place in our hearts. As the leadership of the association, we don't take you for granted. We pray that the Lord is going to continue refreshing you. And the next time, and I believe the next major event coming is our travel to South Africa. We had another one in Kigali, and we really want to appreciate you. Dr. Kimani and Dr. Githua and Hassan was there. We took 89 people to Kigali, and it was so fruitful. Next time, rather in the month, we are going to communicate the month around August or thereabout. We want to go to Johannesburg. We are in communication with the professional body down in South Africa so that we can bring together, some of the things that we think we need to be discussing down there. We don't want to take less than 200. We want more than 200 of you, and we believe that that is possible. We shall be communicating so that you can start paying pole from now all the way to around the month of August or thereabout. We shall communicate the exact date. So because we want to benchmark what other professional bodies are doing, and therefore on behalf of the larger KCPA, we want as many as can manage to travel to do that. This time round, we shall not use road transport. Are you with me? So, in Kigali we had some challenges, but this time round we want everybody to make sure that they pay their flight so that we don't have to really exhaust ourselves. With those few or many remarks, I will want to ask Dr. Nancy Nyaga. Has she left? I don't know whether she has left or she is with us, because I needed her to, I'm sorry I did not signal her, but I needed her to pray for us. But I can call Sister. Sister, come and say the final prayer for us. And then we are going to take a photo, and then we have a cup of tea for us. Please make sure that you pass by and grab a cup of tea. Let's hear, or rather listen to a prayer or pray together with our sister. Thank you.
Thank you. Kindly can we rise? Let's pray. Dear loving Jesus, through the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we are here before you to thank you, to give you glory and honor, for you are worthy of all this. Thank you, dear loving Jesus, for being so faithful and so dear to us. Thank you even for making it possible to see the evening of this day and the end of this scientific seminar and workshop that we have been having, dear Jesus. We thank you for we invited you yesterday, and this you have been proved to us the love you have for us. We have heard many things that, dear Jesus, those you have prepared for us. And this, dear Jesus, we pray for your grace, that as we go back to our different places, that you may be with us, that as we implement that what we have learned, dear Jesus, we pray for your graces that we may do it selflessly to those human beings. We pray that, dear Jesus, in a very special way for our board, which has gone miles and has made it possible even for us to join with the government. We pray that, dear Jesus, you may continue paving even the ways and even all the desires and those which we have aired out as counselors. We pray that you make way for us, even for our able and our Kcpa, dear Jesus. We pray it's our home. We pray for our readers and readership, that, dear Jesus, as they continue leading us to greener pastures, you may be with them, you may grant them their heart desires, and you may see them through with all the project they have for our good. And we pray for us in collaboration of all psychologists, that we may be able to add value to many human beings and to save lives and many souls for you. And now, dear Jesus, as we depart, we pray that you may give us journey mercies to our different destinations. Cover us with your most precious blood. And that, dear Jesus, through all this, may you be glorified. And we ask all this through Christ our Lord. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Santeni.
Yes. Thank you. Next time you have a category for the institution that will be the highest number. We had 26. We were really young. We were banking on just